So my name is Stephanie, and I'm the office manager of FMCC. So this is our agenda of today. So later we will have welcome note by our FMCC chairman, Mr. Rudolf Assuran, and then we have speaker intro by head of GBA Tourism and Leisure Committee, FMCC, Ms. Mary Mendoza. And we have the panel discussion started by Mr. Andrew Klebanow and Ms. Celia Lao. And we have the Q&A section where you can type your Q&A at your, down there you can see there is a Q&A section. So you can type your questions there. So at the end, we will have the concluding remarks by two speakers and Ms. Mary Mendoza. So let's welcome our chairman, Mr. Rudolf Assuran.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Bonjour. Good morning, dear members and friends of the France-Macau Chamber of Commerce, FMCC. As chairman of the French Chamber in Macau, it is a great pleasure to meet you all here at our webinar titled The Road to Macau's Tourism Recovery. As we are now 2.5 years into COVID-19 crisis mode and well over 1 month in a semi-lockdown to achieve zero COVID in Macau, we also face a zero economy. We have been wishfully thinking from right at the onset of COVID back in January 2020 that things will turn around for the better in 3 months' time. And this 3 months has been a moving target ahead of us as a rolling dream forecast. This thinking has given hope to many of us, yet frankly, we did not expect to see a dramatic economic zero as we are experiencing right now in the middle of the summer of 2022. But all drama set aside, also this shall come to an end sometime, and we better get ready with our plans for recovery. Maybe it's in 3 months from now, maybe later, but it will come to an end. Now, the French Chamber has incorporated the Greater Bay Area Tourism and Leisure Subcommittee that serves as a platform to bridge the government entities, business communities, and society, encourage successful cooperation among all. In this role, the committee has sourced and found 2 fantastic experts in the field, from Vegas to Greater Bay Area, who will graciously share their stories and views and hopefully help to lift your spirits and enrich you with backgrounds and ideas to lift the economy for our individual businesses as well as for the better of Macau community. I would like to take the opportunity to thank the Greater Bay Tourism and Leisure Committee team led by Mary Mendoza and also Stephanie, manager of FMCC, for all the arrangements. I wish you an interesting and fruitful meeting. And I'd like to hand the microphone to Mary Mendoza to introduce our presenters today. Thank you very much and enjoy the show.
Thank you very much, Chairman Rutger Verushin. We are humbled by your welcome indeed. Indeed, this webinar wouldn't be possible without the support from my committee team, João Encarnação, Terence Chong, Vinces Rosa de Poli. And you know what? I can see that we are joined today by our industry peers. So I can see some colleagues from the integrated resorts, casino, hospitality, airline, banking, academics, legal industry, tourism department from both Macau and Hengqin is also here, retail, SMEs, and our media guests. So we'd like to welcome you all, industry peers, and thank you for joining us today. So without further ado, let us welcome our panelists. Today, we are joined by 2 important figures, one from Las Vegas and Macau, Greater China. They both have meaningful contributions to the industry. Mr. Andrew Klebanow, who is joining us today directly from Las Vegas, is the partner of C3 Casino Consultant Consortium. He brings nearly 40 years of experience in the casino industry. With the past 22 years, he spent as a gaming consultant. He has completed assignments in jurisdictions throughout North America, as well as in 15 countries, including Vietnam, Cambodia, Macau, Uzbekistan, and the Philippines. Of course, out of his career, he has visited 1,000 casino properties. Andrew has authored 170 articles in Global Gaming Business magazine, Inside Asian Gaming, Asia Gaming Brief, Indian Gaming Brief magazine, and other publications. He also contributed academic papers too, at the Cornell University Hotel and Restaurants Quarterly, the UNLV Hospitality Journal, and the Asia Pacific Association for Gambling Studies, and Lottery, Research Center at Beijing Normal University. He is a periodic guest lecturer at Cornell University's School of Hotel Administration. And he has taught classes at the University of Nevada's Reno School of Continuing Education. From here in Macau, it is such an honor to have Ms. Celia Lao. She is growing AirAsia's digital business in Greater China. Ms. Celia Lao has joined AirAsia as a country head Greater China and became the airline's very first employee in the region in 2004. She is currently responsible for developing and expanding AirAsia's digital business in Greater China. She works closely with the leadership team of the portfolio companies of AirAsia Digital and led the team in China to grow and further the presence of each business unit in the region. Over the last 16 years, Celia has made great contributions to further AirAsia's presence in the region by taking different management positions in areas of government and airport affairs, regulatory compliance, operations management, and commercial strategy. Prior to her role in AirAsia Digital, Celia was the CEO of AirAsia, Hong Kong and Macau from 2017 to 2020. Celia holds a bachelor's degree with honors in marketing from University of Macau and is currently an EMBA student of Kellogg University at the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. So for today's format, we will be starting off with certain presentation from both of our panelists, and we will follow by discussion and a Q&A. Without further ado, I would like to hand the stage to Mr. Andrew Klebanow. Mr. Andrew Klebanow, in June last year, Las Vegas government has lifted restrictions in tourism sectors. That includes the casino, integrated resorts, food and beverage, and hospitality. My sector as well. So can you walk us through on what had happened in Las Vegas during the pandemic? How were the business affected and what were the measures in place?
Thank you, Mary. And I'd like to thank the members of the France-Macau Chamber of Commerce for inviting me to speak with you today. Please understand that I do not purport to know your business, nor do I understand what you've gone through these last few weeks and actually over these last 2 years. I have to believe it has been very difficult for you. As far as understanding your market, look, I've been to Macau. I think I have 22 passport stamps on my passport over the last 15 years, and I've done projects in the region. I understand the market, but I certainly don't know it as well as anyone participating in this panel or observing this webinar today. But I would like to share with you what happened in Las Vegas. And maybe from there, you can get an understanding of what you can expect as you journey down this road to recovery, from lockdown to recovery. So a brief timeline. March 18th, 2020, Nevada Governor Sisolak orders all casinos, bars, and restaurants to close, approximately 1 month after your market was shut down. Shortly thereafter, 4 days later, the governor appoints Jim Urin, former CEO of MGM Resorts, to lead the newly formed COVID-19 Response, Relief, Recovery Task Force. This was an important event and important to understand what it meant to have a gaming executive, a former gaming executive, come in and lead the state's recovery, working with private enterprises, public corporations, and the government. So after about 2 months that the Nevada Gaming Control Board met with the Nevada Health Department and other stakeholders, rules were established. And on June 4th, 2020, Nevada casinos were permitted to reopen with restrictions on capacity, social distancing, and mask mandates. Now, it must be understood that while we had these restrictions, there was a certain degree of what I call COVID theater in this implementation of the policy. So you would enter a casino, you would be asked to have your mask on, your temperature checked, you would pull down your mask for a moment to have your photo taken, and then put your mask back on, walk into the casino. Once in the casino, you were free to order a cocktail, take out a cigarette, and pull your mask down. And therein lies the COVID-19 theater that we had when we reopened. Nonetheless, business at first was very, very slow. And I'll take you through some slides in a few moments and some charts to give you an understanding of what it was like. So the first 6 months after we reopened, it was very, very quiet in Nevada, certainly in Las Vegas casinos. I recall sitting November 2020 in an outdoor cafe overlooking Wynn Resort, and there was not a vehicle on the street. There was not a pedestrian on the sidewalk. This is 6 months after we reopened. And that's the way it went until March 2021. And it was as if somebody turned a switch on and suddenly tourism rebounded. And I'm not talking at a slow, predictable pace, but literally overnight, business returned. Was there a seminal event in March of 2021? There was what's called the NCAA basketball tournament, which is a very popular sporting event, brings a lot of people to Las Vegas. That might have started it off, but all I know is after March of 2021, we were full again. Despite our business coming back in tremendous volume, we had a couple of hiccups. September 2021, the Delta variant emerged and spread across the country very rapidly. It did not affect tourism. Then in December 2021, the very contagious Omicron variant started to emerge as the primary COVID virus. Again, it did not affect tourism volume. So what did the casinos do and other industries do to make adjustments during the pandemic? Well, as I mentioned earlier, temperature checks at all the hotel entrances. In fact, many businesses require that. Hotels, because they were short on labor and also because of COVID restrictions, they eliminated daily housekeeping for multi-night stays. They felt it was unsafe for housekeepers to go into rooms. We closed the buffets. Again, health mandates said this is a good way to spread COVID, so we shut the buffets down. Spas closed. Reduction in gaming capacity. We reconfigured our slot floors, put in more carousels, less banks and machines, and we put in plastic barriers between patrons and employees. But essentially, the attitude amongst Las Vegas casino operators was, don't change nothing. I use that slang saying, but that was basically the attitude. Sure, we'll take a temperature at the door. We'll thin the floor out. We'll put up these little plastic barriers between machines and table games. But you know what? We want to get back to business as normal as quickly as possible, which is why it was important to have someone like Jim Uren lead this task force and get business back to normal as quickly as possible. As I mentioned, things like indoor smoking in Nevada casinos and taverns were still permitted throughout the pandemic. Stephanie, yeah, thank you. So let me take you through some data, some slides I prepared. First, let's take a look at Las Vegas Harry Reid International Airport. And I looked at total enplanements and deplanements over the course of the last 2 years. As you can see, March 2020, we basically shut down, and airport traffic went down virtually to zero. Then once we reopened, it started to creep back up, but a lot of that airplane traffic was people like myself, business travelers who were venturing out despite the pandemic, but there still was very little tourism coming into the market. And it plodded along like that till the end of 2020, when in March, boom, we start seeing a very dramatic uptick in passenger volume. And it continued that way through this last month, where May 2022, Las Vegas Airport recorded its third busiest traffic month in the airport's history. So, airport traffic is back. Hotel occupancy, very similar to what you saw with airplane enplanements and deplanements. Dramatic drop in March of 2020. It limped along. And again, when we reopened in June, we had some traffic, but we stayed in the 40% range, 50% range, really until the end of the year with a slight dip in December. And again, you look at March of 2021 and suddenly we see growth. And it continued to grow, and it is now sitting in the high 80% range. And that's where we've been. I want to also take a look at ADR. As you can see, ADR, now understand with the average daily rate in Las Vegas casinos that we've always had historically low ADRs compared to other parts of the hospitality industry. We're able over the years to press it up, but we've always been able, because of the sheer volume of hotel rooms that we had, to use hotel pricing as a lever to drive business. Nonetheless, again, looking at the chart, you see March 2021, we're getting up to about $128 a night, and now we're peaking at some of the highest ADR rates we've had in the history of the city. So you see a dramatic increase, not only in visitor volume, but in hotel profits. One more slide I'd like to show you, and take a look at gaming revenue. Again, you can see a very similar pattern. Gross gaming revenue, limped along in the $400 million range, and then picked up dramatically over the last 6 months, where we are now enjoying historically high gaming revenue, not only in the Las Vegas Strip, but in the state of Nevada. And in fact, every gaming jurisdiction in the United States is enjoying record high or near record high gaming revenues for the first 6 months of 2022. So, Stephanie, can I get the next slide, please?
Yeah, so Andrew, I wonder if you could walk us through what were the lessons that we can take away from this, since Las Vegas has experienced the opening of the entire industry. So what do you think are the key areas that we could look into?
And this is what I have to stress. So the United States was under, lockdown measures, but not nearly as severe as the PRC, as Hong Kong or Macau. We had a high degree of freedom despite the pandemic. People were still able to venture out. They wanted to get on a plane, they can get on a plane. They wanted to get into a car and drive cross country, they could do so. If they could overcome their fears of the virus, they could do so. Nonetheless, once vaccines became widely available, starting in about March of 2021, people felt really comfortable about going out again. And there was this pent-up demand for entertainment, pent-up demand just to get out of town, get out of their home, go to a casino to escape. And that I attribute to March 2021, when vaccines became widely available. That's what you can expect to see in Macau. There's going to be a tremendous amount of pent-up demand. I can't tell you when it's going to start, but it's going to come. When customers return to Las Vegas, they return all at once, not just in Las Vegas, in gaming jurisdictions throughout the United States. What did we face? Well, casinos in Las Vegas and the United States cannot staff their properties quickly enough in order to meet the surge in consumer demand. We just can't staff. And to this day, we still struggle with shortage in staffing, not only in the hospitality industry, but in all sectors of the economy. I suspect you will have this problem also, considering how many of your expatriate employees have left. There are a lot of people who have just gone home. And we'll get to that in a moment. But looking back, what happened, in Nevada, we have now enjoyed 15 straight months of $1 billion or more in gaming revenue. That is a record. And in May 2022, as I told you, Harry Reid International Airport had its third busiest month in history. People came back, they came back rapidly, and we haven't seen any diminution in visitation, in gaming spend, and retail spend, despite high gas prices and other fears of other inflation pressures. I think I have one more slide I'd like to walk you through. So what you have to take away is the pace of business recovery was truly unexpected. And we continue to struggle to keep pace with that demand today. The single biggest issue that we faced in Las Vegas and that you will probably face in Macau was restaffing. Workers here were either reluctant to return or they chose to retire. We call it the Great Resignation here in the United States. What you'll see in Macau, this will probably be your biggest problem. Expatriates went home, they're very reluctant to return. I have colleagues of mine that worked in Macau for 15 years. They came back this last year. They said they're done. I suspect there are other employees that went back to Australia, went back to New Zealand and said, you know what, I'm done. Not to mention the other workers that you had that went back to the Philippines. You will struggle to get those people to come back. And so the lesson that I can give to you is you need to plan for this. Start thinking right now what it's going to take to get those employees back and get them back in a hurry when business kicks in. Because you will find yourself doing what we did here. You can't get the rooms turned in time. You can't get enough people in the restaurants to get the food out. You'll probably have enough dealers with all the other support staff that are not Macanese citizens. You're going to have a hard time filling those positions. So, you know, right now you need to start making a plan, multiple plans, and how you intend to get workers to come back. You may want to reach out to former employees today and ask what are their intentions. Do you intend to come back? If not, gee, what can we do to get you to come back? And meet with policymakers and discuss ways that you can expedite the return of foreign workers back to Macau. I think I have one more. This is an important one. What we saw in the United States and in Las Vegas was the pandemic changed consumer expectations. Everyone in America is just willing to tolerate less service and oftentimes mediocre service. We've come to accept it after 2 years of being battered by this pandemic. We know that when we call a hotel operator, we're going to get a recording, we're going to go through some voice prompt hell, and eventually not get to speak to anyone, but maybe leave a voicemail message. When we go to a restaurant, we just know we're going to wait. It's something we just come to expect. Daily housekeeping for multi-night stays have all but disappeared in the United States in most 3- and 4-star hotel properties. You know, you check into a hotel in Orlando, Disney World, any business center hotel in any city in the country, they tell you no daily housekeeping. If you need anything, call down and we'll bring it up to you. So if you want fresh towels, call down, they'll bring them up to you. And that's just become part of life post-pandemic in the United States. Restaurants have also adapted and are now increasingly relying on takeaway services. So you don't see restaurants needing to fill their dining rooms up every night. They've gotten very good at doing takeaway. And that's become a big source of business. Casino operators have gotten very knowledgeable now on how to drive profitability. During the pandemic, valet parking was shut down. You know what? One expense we didn't need. Buffets were closed. You know what? One more expense we didn't need. Spas and other amenities have all been eliminated in many regional casinos. And what did that do? It drove up profitability. EBITDA at every casino is at record levels because we got rid of non-essential business. Our business in casinos is gambling, and that's what we focused in on. And all the other stuff that drove visitation, we decided we really didn't need it. Again, the last parting remark I would tell you is that labor will be the most challenging issue. So plan for it now.
Thank you very much, Andrew. That is really enlightening. It's really good that we've heard from you in terms of what had happened in Las Vegas. And it's really reassuring as well in terms that when Las Vegas get back, there was over $1 billion of gaming revenues that is way above what was seen before. In addition to that, it's also good to know that in our preparation here in Macau is in terms of labor, on how do we actually get them back, especially if they are on a blue card holder. And so this brings me to Ms. Celia Lao to understand about the aviation industry, because aviation industry is among the heaviest hit. So I wonder, Celia, if you can give us some insight on domestic and international travel and what had happened before and after the pandemic.
Hi, Mary, thank you so much for the introduction. And thank you also all the members here to join this webinar. Okay, let me share the screen first. Okay, next, Stephanie. Yeah, firstly, I just want to share with you the aviation traffic indicators before and after post-COVID. With the world's border opening up, airlines are adding back flights very quickly each year. So you can see the lowest traffic point was recorded in April 2020, which is down like 70 to 80%. However, in July this month, 2022, the total seat capacity is 14.4% below the same period in 2019. Next, please. So domestic traffic is picking up much faster than the international traffic. So you can see in July 2022, the domestic traffic resumed like 95%, whereas the international traffic bounced back 70%, comparing to pre-COVID level. And next, please. Traffic in major airports, you can see from this chart, in Southeast Asia, like I just put 3 airports, Singapore, Thailand, and Malaysia is resuming very fast as well, growing on like 3 to 150 times year on year. So you can see the traffic coming back really fast. Next. And the second part, I just want to share with you how AirAsia survived during COVID. Maybe this can share with you some of the experience, how airline industries will bounce back, like Andrew just mentioned. Gaming industry bounced back very fast as well, but aviation also bounced back in a very rapid level. So for AirAsia, we have been resilient. We did not sit in and also wait. Instead, we identify solutions. We have become an investment holding companies with multiple portfolio of business, including aviation, logistics, and lifestyle. And we name our names from AirAsia Group to capital A, you can see from the slide here. And how did we do this? So, and next slide, please. I used to tell media friends, AirAsia is the iPhone in aviation industry. We embrace digital technologies in the very beginning. Passengers actually need to book tickets from our website. So we are the first in Asia to introduce e-tickets, self-check-in, self-backdrop, etc. Over the years, we have accumulated a huge data in our system since our inception in December 2001. So we have a huge data, over 600 million passengers with us in the past 18 years before COVID. And we have also over 240 planes, built 24 hubs, and fly to more than 150 destinations, covering more than 380 routes. Leveraging on this big data and network, we have transformed from our biggest LCC to a holistic lifestyle ecosystem during COVID. So this I've explained to you one by one in later slides. Next, please. So apart from this big data, we also build a well-known brand with key presence in 5 key countries, which provide access to 480 million populations, with opportunities to reach over 650 million populations in ASEAN. So this is the backbone. We have the data, we have the brand. Of course, we also have a lot of talents in the system, right? So next, I would like to explain to you what we have built in this ecosystem during COVID. The first is the super app. Super app is actually AirAsia.com. So I just mentioned that there's a lot of data spawned into this super app. We aim to, before we actually use this app to book AirAsia flights only, then this super app aims to become the super app for everyone in ASEAN. Passengers can now book our flights in AirAsia, only our flights before, but now we open it up to include flights from all other carriers. Passenger can book not only flights, but activities, hotels, food, groceries, etc. So next, please. Yeah, so here you can see our super app include different kind of segments. It's not only flights, we have activities, hotels, food, groceries. We have also delivery platform. It's already built in this super app. Next, so with the super app, we actually can reach out not only to our main airports in Asia Pacific, but also in the whole ASEAN countries. Next. And the key for passengers to keep coming back is a reward system. We have this AirAsia Rewards enable members to earn and burn across ASEAN within this super app. And over 300 merchants parties outside AirAsia ecosystem. Next. The second part in our ecosystem is Teleport. Teleport is our cargo and logistic arms. With this Teleport cargo delivery ecosystem enable us to move flights across Southeast Asia better than anybody else by building on our AirAsia's extensive route network. So this our unique selling point is to deliver goods from door to door within 24 hours. Next, Stephanie. So this is the network we build on. Why we can do delivery within 24 hours is also building on AirAsia's extensive networks in Southeast Asia. Next. This is a unique selling point I just mentioned. We can deliver door to doors within 24 hours comparing to our competitors in the market. Next. So this is a Big Pay payment system. Is also built in this ecosystem. With Big Pay products, we offer payment, remittance, credit, and wealth in the system. So this is all our tech stacks we can develop across different markets. Next, yeah, this is a unique selling point. Next, Stephanie, yeah. So we can rapidly employ the new features as well. We can move up the value chain, offering investment, insurance, and saving plans, and it is available in real time, 24/7. Okay, next. Santan is our brand for F&B. We aim to serve the best and most delicious Southeast Asia flavor in the air and on the ground. Okay, next. So in the Santan group, we not only have the food, but we also sell franchise. During COVID, we opened 2 flagship restaurants in Malaysia and also have franchisee restaurants opening up in Malaysia. And now we're expanding to Thailand, Philippines, India, and later on, we also bring it back to China, Macau, and Hong Kong as well. Next. For AirAsia Digital Academy, like how we prepare pilots and also cabin crews for our airline business, we also build this academy to train and prepare tech talents, not only for our own ecosystem, but for Southeast Asia regions as well. Next. So the last part I would like to just mention about Macau tourism recovery. From this chart, you can see that among the tourists to Macau by air, Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, India, and Indonesia are the top 10 position. AirAsia has built strong presence in all these 5 countries. Next. So in the last 15 years since our inaugural flight to Macau in 2004 to 2019, before COVID, AirAsia Group has carried more than 11 million passengers to and from Macau, with an average visitor spending of MOB 1,780 in Macau. AirAsia has contributed 19.5. Next, traffic, and also you can see that the traffic and attractions are the key weakness of Macau. However, with this announcement of the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay regionalization strategy, Macau has a much better position to further attract tourists to our AirAsia Lao. Of 600,000 carriers encountering huge challenges to balance our two-way traffic. And this well-developed infrastructure has connected all these 9+2 cities in GBA in 1 hour. That means we can easily access to 86 million populations in GBA to view the maps. We offer 280 flights to 4 international airports in GBA. 81 was to Macau, and we can attract more international tourists to connect to GBA via Macau in one-stop multiple destinations. And from this chart, you can see traffic from the key airports in GBA. They're resuming, but you can see from the bottom 2 charts, which shows Hong Kong and Macau, the traffic is still, Hong Kong traffic starts to going up very fast, but Macau traffic is still not opening up because the border is still closed. Next. For populations, the ASEAN countries, again, the populations, we have 680 million populations among the 6 major cities, major countries in ASEAN. And for overseas population, Chinese populations, total in just 6 countries, there are 36.8 million populations of the overseas Chinese versus 67 million in the world. So this ASEAN countries actually host most of the overseas Chinese populations. Next. And what we can do is
it seems like we are experiencing some technical issues for the time being. However, I would like to take this opportunity to please post your questions by stating your name, your property, if you'd like to mention which company, and as well as for which speaker. Mm-hmm.
I believe Celia has to dial in again.
Yes, I think have some connection problems, but it's okay. So everyone, you can type your questions at the Q&A sector, not the chat box. You can see under there is another one on the right-hand side called Q&A. So just type the questions there, and then the moderator will choose the questions for the speakers.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. So while we are looking into this, in fact, there were some questions previously, and I'm also particularly interested. Question for Andrew. Since you have mentioned on what we could learn from Las Vegas in terms of preparation for the opening, at the point in time when the recovery of Las Vegas started, was there any support from the Tourism Bureau or the Government Bureau in order to boost faster the rebound? And if there was any, how was it supported, and what were the actions taken, and as well as the benefits provided to increase the particular volume?
Thank you, Mary. Actually, yes. Las Vegas is very fortunate to have a very active and very robust Las Vegas Visitors and Convention Authority. The LVCVA, since I've been in this city for 30-some years, I've always been in awe of their effectiveness to build national and international advertising and marketing campaigns. And they did a great job of getting the word out about Las Vegas being open. Outstanding job. Also, the Nevada Resort Association worked very closely with the Restart Nevada Task Force, with Jim Uren's organization. So we had very good cooperation between government and operators and the LVCVA, an outstanding job. And like I said, the LVCVA is the linchpin of all the marketing strategies that we see taking place in Las Vegas.
Thank you, Andrew. In fact, we have another question from an integrated resort from a senior executive coming from a MICE. So on a MICE perspective, Macau has not attended any international trade show. We all know this will create a gap that will have an impact on the visitor numbers. How will this be reduced?
Well, the challenge for the challenge that we saw here in Las Vegas is that the MICE business has not fully returned yet. Now, granted, we're only now 1 year into that magic year of recovery from March 2021 to now 2022. It's now the height of summer here in Las Vegas. It's traditionally a family visitation period. Business travelers have the better sense not to visit the city when it's 114 degrees outside. We hope to see them return this fall. They were slow to return after March 2021. They were far more sensitive and aware of the dangers of the pandemic still being out there. First of the Delta variant, then Omicron variant. General tourism wasn't affected, but MICE business was. I expect to see a rebound starting this fall. And for Macau, I think it's going to be slow going for MICE to return. I really do. But I think you'll be more challenged just accommodating the general tourism demand once the pandemic restrictions lift. As soon as that border opens up and the sense of well-being, all that pent-up demand is going to come roaring across the border gate. You will be flooded.
Exactly. In fact, we've experienced that twice already from last year. Whenever we had some COVID cases, we closed the border and reopened. And after a month or so, we see the numbers spiking up again. And this brings me to a question from Mr. Danilo Candido of SGM Resort. He was asking, will Macau ever experience the same or higher pre-pandemic growth levels? In Q2, question 2, how will Macau position itself against regional competitors such as Singapore or Vietnam?
Good question. Good question. I recall in 2014, a reporter shoved a microphone in my face and asked me at the time when Macau was on a run rate of $47 billion a year in gaming revenue. This was during G2E Macau in 2014. And he said, how high do you think Macau's gaming revenue could go? And I said, $100 billion. I see no reason why not. The next month, the PRC implemented their crackdown on corruption, and along with the conspicuous consumption, and gaming revenues plummeted, and I got to eat those words for years to come. So what, in 2019, Macau had GGR of about $37 billion. I see post-pandemic getting back up to that $50 billion range very, very quickly. I do. I think the growth rates will be phenomenal. Again, one of two things has to happen. Either COVID goes away or zero COVID policy goes away. One of those things happens, you're going to be swamped with people, swamped with business. But when that happens, I can't predict. How will Macau position itself against regional competitors, Singapore or Vietnam? Well, I think Macau has a very unique offering, and I think you're in a very good position moving forward. So, say this travel bubble that we're going to see emerge between PRC, the Greater Bay Area, Hong Kong, Macau, where you are free to travel within the Greater Bay Area from PRC to Macau, Hong Kong. The bubble's working; it's staying intact. That's a great story. You know, if you're a gambler living in Beijing, you have a yearning to go gamble. You have two options. You know, you have multiple options. You can go to Korea, you can go to Jeju, and go gamble there. And then when you return, you get to spend 14 days in quarantine before you're allowed to go back to your apartment. Or you can go to Macau, cross the border, within the bubble, play, gamble to your heart's content, go home with no restrictions on quarantine upon your return because you stayed in this bubble.
Mhm.
So I think this zero COVID policy, if it's given some degree of flexibility, could play very, very well for Macau casino operators. Why would I want to go to Vietnam to gamble or Cambodia and then have to deal with the quarantine upon my arrival back home when I can go to Macau and go there, play, stay, come back, go back to work.
Right.
So I
So
see.
you know what's interesting here, Andrew, is that our panelists and of course our chairman is also a hotelier. So I would like to hear from Rutger. What is your thoughts on what's happening here?
All right. Well, maybe just maybe a difference with Las Vegas and Macau is that Macau depended a lot on the junkets, and they are gone in the way that we used to enjoy them in the last 10 years or more than that. Also, there is a bit of a pushback against gaming from Beijing. So there's more than just COVID. We're having here a perfect storm. It is COVID, zero policy, maybe other politics in place, the gaming, the concessions, the new law, all of this plays together. And we really feel here in Macau, there is something working against us in the gaming industry. We are pushed for diversification. The new casino law also requires that those integrated resorts invest more in non-gaming. But at the moment, I think their focus would probably be, or should certainly be, is to recover the losses they made the last few years. So although it is very positive to hear that Vegas is bouncing back so enormously, can we really expect the same for Macau, Andrew?
I understand the pressures from central government to reposition Macau into becoming a greater entertainment destination. I understand that fully. But I still also understand that Macau is the only place within the PRC where one can go and gamble. And that's a pretty alluring position to have in the market. Yes, casino operators, hotel operators will continue to add amenities, add rooms, add entertainment, add a variety of non-gaming amenities to broaden their appeal. But you can't deny the fact that Macau has one unique attribute that no other city in the PRC has. You can go there and gamble. And that will always be appealing. Now, the loss of junkets certainly is a loss. It was easy money. It's an easy way to bring. You can bring in people, bring in the money, and while your margin was lower, your EBITDA margin was lower, the volume was huge. The nice thing about premium mass and mass is the margins are better. There's going to be a challenge of being able to get all that wagering money into the city.
Right, and that brings me to a question for Celia. As Celia has mentioned earlier, that the load factor of aviation industry has actually been picking up in Malaysia 300%, Singapore 6,000%, Thailand 15,000% respectively. And so since Macau has a new regulation for the gaming law in terms of bringing more visitation and more tourists from the foreign markets. How do you see this playing out, Celia, in terms of foot traffic, and as well as how is AirAsia going to contribute on this particular area or other aviation or airline industry in Macau?
Thank you, Mary. As I just mentioned in the presentation, hi, can you hear me? Yeah, we actually operate 81 flights to Macau before COVID, right? So we can actually resume all these flights very fast. We have existing team members in Macau. We have also all these infrastructures is already built. We also have existing approvals on hand. So we can see if the border is opening up, we can actually resume flights. We actually want to open it now, but it just depends on how is the market is going to, how the government is going to play around with the policy. So we understand some of the cities in the region, you can see, I just show you some of the countries in the region, like in Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, they actually already practice and also have the COVID measures in place, so they can open up the borders since like last year. And also they also further open up without any like restrictions from April this year. So there's a process, but I mean, we are prepared. And we also have the experience in Southeast Asia countries already. We also now we resume flights to Hong Kong already, it's just next door, right? So this is all the experience we can also bring to Macau and to bring our passengers and also tourists back to this SAR.
So when it comes to GBA, earlier you were mentioning and showing us a certain map and graphics on that there's a 86 billion population within the GBA alone. So does AirAsia see business opportunities in the GBA, and what is the kind of like strategic plan? How does it relate to us here in Macau? And more so is that how can actually AirAsia support or help the Macau community?
Yeah, definitely, because AirAsia flies to 4 international airports in the GBA. So the convenience is like when you step in Macau, if there's like a special policies or special attractions, like Macau, if the border open up first, and from Macau, the tourists can go into the GBA easily. And if you are familiar with all this infrastructure, buildings and also readiness in the GBA, the tourists actually can jump into Macau, and then within 1 hour, they can visit all the cities in the GBA. So this is the advantage of Macau. And for tourists, if the GBA airport open up slowly, and for AirAsia, because we fly to all the 4 international airports in GBA, so the tourists have an option to fly in Macau and fly out from any of the GBA airports, like fly out of Guangzhou, Shenzhen, or Hong Kong, right? So this is the options, and tourists, especially for business travelers, they would like to have some options. So this options offer greater opportunities for Macau to attract them to in or out of Macau. So this is the advantage we can bring into GBA and also to Macau.
That's wonderful. So in terms of, so it doesn't just switch on the tap and everything would happen. So I'm wondering, and as well as some of the colleagues as well has also sent a similar question, is that if Macau is aiming to increase the number of foreign visitors, has the airline been approached by the government yet in terms of collaboration? And how are the terms looking like? Like such as, were there any attractive pricing for additional airport landing slots or offered for the near future, let's say 2023 or foreseeable future?
Yeah, we keep in close touch with the airport authorities and also tourism boards. And in the right timing, I understand they also in the process of also building up some incentive programs and also cooperations with airlines. So I mean, this is the right timing to prepare it, right? And when we see, we don't know when, but it will eventually happen. The border will open. So the more preparations we have on hand now, so the better for the airport authority or the tourism board or even Macau government to bring back the tourists. As you just mentioned that the government just also want to diversify the portfolio of the tourists to come into the SAR. So I mean, this is the right timing, and I also seeing that the airport authorities and the government also are preparing on this direction, and we are happy to cooperate with them to bring any tourists to Macau. As I showed you before, AirAsia is reaching to all these 680 million populations in ASEAN. We have expertise in those areas. And you also can see 36.8 million foreign Chinese populations are in this ASEAN countries, 10 countries in ASEAN. So I believe we have a big potential to bring all these foreign tourists to Macau when COVID is passed and also when border open up.
Great, thank you. Yes,
I have a question. In which route do you think, in your opinion, is going to be revived soonest in Macau? Which one? Difficult question, I assume. And also, would you in the future bundle Hengqin and Macau as one destination? Is that something that that you are working on?
For the which route you mentioned, which route, right? Like I give you some example of our tourist our routes resuming in Hong Kong. Actually, 3 routes resuming in the very beginning, which is from Malaysia, from Kuala Lumpur to Macau. That is what we have already resumed to Hong Kong. We have Kuala Lumpur to Hong Kong. We have Bangkok to Hong Kong. We have also resumed Manila to Hong Kong. I mean, these are 3 key routes I can see we will resume in the first stage back to Macau as well. And regarding your second question, no doubt, actually, it depends on how we resume back these routes, and also what is the arrangements, especially the border arrangement between Macau and Hengqin. I believe the tourists, especially the family travelers, or the leisure travelers, when they come to Macau, they would like to also explore the GBA, which Hengqin is one of the destinations we are selling because they have theme parks, right? They have also a lot of happenings around during this area. So we would like to also attract more different kind of segments of tourists back to Macau. But in the the first stage, when the border open up, I believe the first batch will be the familiar over here. They would like to come back, and that will be the first batch of the tourists to come back to Macau.
We really would love to see that really soon. Yeah, and you've mentioned, Celia, earlier concerning diversification, and one of our guests would like to ask Andrew in terms of diversification. So Las Vegas patron base is very diverse. What can Macau learn from it in terms of strategy? Is there any synergy effect in promoting, especially for those operators with business in Las Vegas/Macau? And what possible entertainment offering in Macau and Hengqin could contribute to speedier economic recovery? Andrew, I think you have to unmute. Thank you.
My apologies. I think Macau has all the essential elements necessary to diversify its tourism base, and is moving forward to adding more amenities to diversify its tourism base. First, the integrated resorts that you have there today are fascinating. They're fantastic. They're greater than anything we have here in Las Vegas. The work that's being done to expand tourism in Hengqin is phenomenal. Phenomenal with the family entertainment that you're bringing into the region. And once you're permitted to stay within this bubble of entertainment between Zhuhai and Macau, Hengqin, you're going to see a great amount of additional incremental visitation. So the plans that the casino and hotel operators have in place, plus the entertainment developers that you have going on in Hengqin, is phenomenal. The elements are there, the strategy is there. It's going to take a couple of years to kick in.
Yes, that's right. Just like everything else, it would take some time whenever we plan, strategize, plan, and execute. The result is not always immediate. And so I would like to ask something about government relations and strategies, especially to Celia. So what do you think are the measures of the government and legislatures should look into? Any particular suggestion for them, that things that you've seen worked from other jurisdiction?
Yeah, as I said just now, in the very beginning, I believe the government will set some vaccination lanes or vaccination task force right in the very beginning. And also they also can like differentiate those tourists, they are fully vaccinated, right? And also with versus those like are not fully vaccinated. So what is the measures we need to put in differentiate this two group of tourists? For the vaccinated group, we may like Southeast Asia countries, they will welcome that first. And of course, there's a kind of a lot of tests you need to provide in the very beginning when we open up the border. In the very beginning, we may request the tourists to also show the COVID test before boarding the flight, and also upon arrival. And also they also need to do the test within the first 3 days when they arrive in Macau, to ensure that they don't spread around if they are positive, right? So this is some of the measures we need to put in place. And I believe some of the all the hotels and also main casinos in Macau, they also need to prepare that in place in order to welcome tourists back, to ensure that these tourists are safe to walk around the casinos and also walk around Macau. So that is some of the measures we need to put in place in different entry ports, the airports, the borders, and also the ferry terminal, right? So all these measures, I believe the government needs to have it in place now when it opens, because we expect it by end of this year or early next year. We hope there's some kind of measurements in place and we can welcome tourists back.
That is really an important sharing and insight indeed. It's something that you've seen worked in other jurisdictions, and also a formula for success in terms of easier access, convenience, like every passenger is looking for. And so I would like to pass the ball to our chairman, Mr. Rutger Verushin, in terms of your thoughts to wrap up this particular webinar. I wonder, do you have any final thoughts or something to share before we conclude?
No, very interesting to hear both speakers. There's a lot of optimism out there. And as I said in the beginning, this will pass, just a matter of time. And how to say when and what. Macau is in a bit of a different place than Vegas with the policies in regard to the zero COVID situation. Having said that, I learned from Andrew, yes, we will have a problem with the human resources in Macau. We already see that. In fact, some of the hotels, they started recruiting a few months ago when we thought that things were getting better. And the result is that many of us are now, I would say, not overstaffed, but for the condition at the moment, definitely, it's really a challenge. And it has been a cash drain for far too long for everyone. Mm-hmm. Not just for the small and medium businesses, also for the big ones. They also feel this terrible situation. So, but I said, yeah, we have to be ready. I agree that once the tap opens, we will be flooded. And one room attendant can still only do 13, 14 rooms a day, maybe less, maybe a bit more, depending on the property. And considering we have 40,000 rooms in Macau, we need a lot of cleaners for that, and servers in the restaurants, because the service quality of Macau is still of high standards. I don't think Macau will go for a lot of takeaways in the casino restaurants. Mm-hmm. The Chinese players are really spoiled and expect the best. That's for in Macau, you find many of the resorts, they have the finest restaurants. So all of this whole business model is being revised, I think. And the future will tell very soon how it will be going. And I think for Celia, thank you very much too for your for your highlights, and we hope to see AirAsia soon again. I think both the Macanese will be happy to fly out using your services, and of course we are very welcome the tourists to come back in here.
Thank you very much, Rutger. And so as we conclude this particular webinar, I would like to ask Andrew and Celia to share their concluding remarks or any key takeaway. Andrew?
Thank you. The key takeaway that I've learned over the last 2 years, experiencing the pandemic and the recovery of the Las Vegas economy, the US economy as a whole, is the pandemic has changed everything. Consumer expectations, consumer behavior, it's all different now. Right? Before the pandemic, I went to the mall. I went to the shopping mall and bought stuff. And today, I don't even think about it. I go online, I go to Amazon, I have it delivered. My wife and I would go out to restaurants twice a week before the pandemic. Now we have takeaway brought in twice a week. Behavior has just changed completely, and it's going to be the same there. Consumer expectations are going to be different. Rutger, I know you want to do daily housekeeping for your hotel rooms. Guess what? Expectations will change. I know you want to deliver 5-star service in a restaurant. And as a former captain in a 5-star restaurant, I know what it takes to deliver that service. Expectations have changed. People are going to be so tired and beleaguered after 2 years or 3 years in this pandemic. They'll take whatever you got.
Thank you very much, Andrew. And Celia, I'm really so fascinated of what AirAsia has done during this pandemic, as we know that it was the heaviest hit. But on the other hand, you did a lot of transformation on a digital way and making use of your big data, such as food and beverage using Santan, logistics, even big pay or financial related transformation. I think there's a lot of us as an SMEs and as well as within the cooperation from Macau who could actually leverage out of your services. So as a concluding remarks, I wonder what are the key takeaways that you'd like our audience to hear?
Okay, for the key takeaways from this pandemic lessons we learned, before the pandemic, AirAsia has been using digital technologies a lot, right, since the very beginning. And before COVID, we actually push our passengers to use this digital elements at the airport, like self-check-ins. We have a lot of self-check-in counters at the airport with self-bag drops. We also have face boarding in the boarding gates as well. And before, it's quite a lot of difficulties for us to push them to self-check-in counter. They like to see people face to face to help them to do check-ins, right? But after this COVID, everybody, without any hesitation, they would like to go by themselves. So this is something that we learned from pandemic, and behavior and also the habits changed a lot. So I mean, all these SMEs or hotels and also the tourism players in Macau, please prepare for this. Digitalization is on the way. So we can see tourists welcome all these facilities in your properties, and they actually ask for it before. They may not want to have those kind of self-service, right? But I mean, the pandemic, after this pandemic, everybody is just don't want to see you in face. They just want to do everything by themselves, right? So this is a big lesson we learned from pandemic.
Wonderful. I guess with this webinar, the industry can look into start planning for the recovery plan and kickstart with the strategies that we hear today from Andrew and Celia. And I would like to thank once again, Mr. Andrew Klebanow and Celia for your wonderful insights. There is a lot for us to learn from this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And wish everyone a wonderful day and a bright summer ahead.
Yes, thank you everyone, and thank you for joining. And actually, we will have another webinar for next Thursday about working from home, moderated by our board member Celia Lao. So just a quick small promotions, and I will send you more details with the email. And thank you again for everyone to joining us, and thank you our two speakers having their fascinating presentation. And thank you, Mary, for the GBA Tourism and Leisure Committee to host and organize this webinar. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. Thank you.
Thank you.